Hello, everyone. Welcome back after a bit of a summer hiatus to yet another episode of Observable Flutter. My name is Craig LeBenz. I am your host, as always, so far. Maybe one day someone else will host an episode. But I'm excited today to talk about, well, I don't even know, to debug what is going on with this game that I made and talked about in Berlin. If you were at FlutterCon a couple weeks ago, then you may have been unfortunate enough to stumble into the room where I was talking and hear me explain all the errors that I made while I was building a multiplayer Pong client. But yeah, here we are. So before I get too far into it, just remember, everybody, we're the Flutter community, and we take our code of conduct very seriously. So please, no flaming anyone in the chat, no disparaging package authors or other technologies or stuff like that. Okay. Here we are, folks. I'm actually going to start with a summary of what's going on, because I think most folks were not in Berlin and didn't see this talk. And so the majority of this audience today and in the future won't have any context. So this is a slide. I'm actually going to hide myself here. This is a slide from the presentation that I gave that kind of shows the architecture of this game Multipong. And you see all the clients on the left. The turning gear is a shared simulation that's running on the client and on the server. And they communicate about different changes in the game with each other, but otherwise it's all the same code. This is full stack Dart. So they are able to run, the same simulation in lockstep with each other. And then there's two layers to the back end. So actually I'll start in the rear of the back end, the game server. There's a singleton server running on Cloud Run. This is not normally how you use Cloud Run, but I've capped the maximum instances at 1. And that means that it can just run, it can be the authoritative game server and have everything in memory. There's no database, there's no persistence, there's no memory of past games or anything like that. It's just, if there's one game being played, then it is held in memory on the game server. Now, clients don't connect to that directly. Clients connect to this intermediate layer called the front line. And this is an uncapped Cloud Run service. And the idea here, it's just a message ferrying layer. It just pass game commands into the back end and then fan out updates from the back end to all the clients. But this frontline server, the idea is that it can scale, because that's what Cloud Run does. So once you have more than 80 people connect, we add more nodes, and then clients connect to that and they start to get updates as well. So another aspect here is that there's only ever one game of Pong, which is very convoluted and contrived, I admit, but it worked for the talk. And so there's 0 or 1 games of Pong being played by the whole world and controlled by the game server. So any extra clients that connect are just observers. So if there's 1,000 people watching, which will never happen, there would be 2 players and 998 observers. And then all 1,000 of those people would see the same game being played. The only difference for the 2 active players is they can issue commands to control one of the paddles in the game. So this is the setup. And the default maximum size of concurrent connections on Cloud Run is 80. So when I gave the talk at the end, when I said, all right, everybody, go to the domain, and people pulled out their phones and went to it, the number of connected clients quickly exceeded 80. And Cloud Run, this frontline service, added a second node. and everything crashed. And I had never tested this before because I had never opened 81 tabs in Chrome to force this scaling myself. But I didn't really anticipate that there would be any problems. So yeah, I didn't test it, and of course it crashed. So there's a lesson in just that. But that's the backdrop. And before we go any further, yeah, does anyone in the chat, does this make sense? Are folks kind of getting what I'm saying here? Does this architecture make any sense? If anyone asks clarifying questions, I'll try to address them. So, I need a tab for. I need a personal tab for Google. Yeah, here we go. Buying some window covers. Need a tab to look at the cloud console. It's one bit of setup I forgot to do. All right, console.google. or cloud. Whatever. And yeah, here we are. Let's go to Cloud Run. All right. So here's my Cloud Run. Here's my Google Cloud project. And let's make this bigger. Randall asks, is it Dart on the back end? Yeah, it's full stack Dart. So we've got shared code everywhere. That's how the simulation is able to run on all ends. So this gear, this fancy icon here, is the same Dart class simulating Pong. What is Multipong? It's multiplayer Pong. It's distributed. Let me see if I can find the slide. It's it's multiplayer, distributed, real-time, observable, server authoritative, scalable, deterministic Pong, or Multipong, as I came to call it. And I've just reenacted 5 seconds of the talk. That was what I wanted to press. Rest between layers. No, there's WebSockets. So that's how. Now back to the same slide we were looking at a second ago. WebSockets are how the server can push game events. So it should be very real time. Game server will suffocate, right? I don't think so. This is pretty core, very appropriate question though. My goal was that this game server here, it only has one open WebSocket connection per 80 connected customers or clients, sorry. And it's running just one simple game of Pong. And by the nature of it, this simulation actually spends most of its time asleep. It predicts when the ball is going to bounce into something and then goes to sleep until that moment. So if it says like, oh, in 400 milliseconds, the ball is going to hit the top wall, it just goes to sleep. And then it wakes up and applies that collision and calculates the next one and goes to sleep again. So there's very little work being done here. And then whenever something changes in the game, it puts a packet out on all of its open WebSocket connections. That also should take, on the order of microseconds. And then these worker nodes in the front, they may have, 80 connected clients. So whenever they receive an update, they have to fan it out to up to 80 connected users. Something happened when a second frontline node showed up. The whole thing completely fell apart. And yeah, I don't know what it was, but I don't think, gosh, unless I have like a logical error that's creating an infinite loop or something, I am really not expecting there to be any problems with like CPU usage. So One thing I thought we could do to maybe more easily test this is in the frontline service in Cloud Run, scroll down and right here, maximum concurrent requests per instance. So this is the amount of open WebSockets that we should be able to have. Maybe game updates are only being sent to the most recent front line. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely something like that. So I was thinking to test this, we can drop this number down to like 2 or 3 and then force it to scale more quickly. Did you prepare the backend of the broadcast connection? Yeah, I believe I did. So let's look at the game server code real quick here. The client side code for this is decently clean. The server side code is less so don't judge me. Game server server.dart. All right, so this is the code. We see at the bottom. We see at the bottom some utility functions. Eventually, we'll find the main function. Here we go. This is now buried in the middle of the file, which isn't the best place for it. So here, we set up some logging and establish like the ability to communicate on sockets. The socket responder is just a class that I made so I could be precise about what sockets are open and pushing game events or pushing updates out on individual sockets. Here we're tracking the active players and all that stuff. But we can look at where new frontline servers connect, and that is in the main handler. So this handler method is where frontline servers connect and open up their WebSocket connection. And so that gets us into here. So we say, new frontline server. And now this WebSocket, this is where we need to start listening to it. So let's see. I haven't looked at this code in a super long time, but listen. Well, I'm actually kind of surprised I'm not storing the subscription anywhere. But let's see. Where do I add this WebSocket to a list? Nowhere. How did this work? It would be so funny if Randall just like no scope sniped. Oh, here it is. Responder add client WebSocket. That's where that's where the WebSocket gets held on to. I hope I'm not using a singleton for that. The responder the responder holds on to all the frontline connections. And we can even see, it says new frontline server and the number of them. So for each open WebSocket, it gets this big handler. And in the handler, we say, that this handler is invoked whenever a message is coming in from a client. And so, there's a ping thing so to measure the latency and whatnot. But other than that, here are the different messages that it can send. So here's ping, or respond and tell, measure latency, the connected client message, a disconnected client message. These are not frontline servers. These are actual clients. So players or observers. Kill game, this was a debugging thing. Request state. This one shouldn't get here. And then user input. So this message, this code shows the different things that a frontline server can say to the backend and how the backend responds. And it uses this like responder to ferry messages out to everybody. But do you ever send the same message to all responders? Yeah. So here's one such responder, send to all. Now let's see if we can find any others. Yeah. This is the kill game one. The thing is, I still don't think I ever actually tested more than one front end server on my own, which I could do. Ken says, could you have a separate instance for the player and the observers? Well, could, but I think that would lead to just more juggling. One of the goals of the architecture was to have the clients and the observers basically be identical. They both are receiving game updates via the exact same mechanisms. The only difference was that the active players can issue game commands. But other than that, they're all just, Knights of the Round Table equivalent connections kind of things. Where's the fan out for local to all front lines? So by local, I think you mean the game server, like local to the game server. So that happens. Yeah. So this code responds to inbound stuff from a front end, from a front line. Then down below, we see somewhere, where is that code? Yeah, how do we, the thing that we need to set up, oh, right, it's in initialize server Pong, which probably is called in main. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so in initialize server Pong, we connect a listener from the inner game state updates. Oh yeah, this is a really old comment. Redis isn't in here anymore, only because I couldn't, there's no free tier for Redis on GCP. Let's see here. So this says, so server Pong is a wrapper around the actual game, and it has an event stream. So whenever the game emits an event, we send this response on the responder. And let's look at this send response method. Why aren't you loading? There we go. So in send response, we loop over all the clients, and this, socket responder doesn't know where it lives, but when it lives on the back end, then all these clients are frontline servers. And we send the serialized response to all of the clients right here. Ever iterate over all responders. Yeah. So here's one such area, send response. And then there was, there's like specific things. You can tell a client that they're active with these specific methods. I don't remember why. I don't know why send to all exists and send a response, because they're really similar. Wow, those are really similar methods, aren't they? Let's see. You should just have me on the show and we could pair program one of these. That would be fun. We're kind of doing that right now, Randall. Excuse me. So that is how the back end works, right? We see, and then the server Pong class that wraps the individual Pong game code, which we can see right here, has two streams: every single event and anytime the game state changes. And so it just, sends them out on the wire to everyone. And so I think it's probably talking to them all, but let's find out here. Oh yeah, 15 seconds delayed. So yeah, you're probably asking questions. Well, none of your questions have seemed stale to me yet, so I'll say that. All right, start new game. This one I don't think is too important. This is after a game ends and it resets and picks new players and whatnot. All right. Someone asked if we can have the source code. Yeah, just don't judge me. Especially in the backend code. It's really not that organized. As you can see, there's just long handlers and server.dart. So it's maybe not the most elegant. But I can make the repo non-private. This is called Synthwave 84, Kumar. It's a really nice theme. Okay, so first thing that we could do, be kind of a pain. We got two options. We can try to connect to the server. Can try to connect to two frontline servers on the actual deployment, or on my local host. I think we should use the actual deployment. Then everyone can get involved. Let's do that. But first, I need to add more log statements because I have tried to figure out what happened by reading log statements, and that failed. So, and these URLs, don't get too excited about these. This is where the front end talks to the back end. There's a different front end URL. I was looking at the logs, and it's just really, 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 really hard to figure out what was going on. There is this false positive error. This comes from something when it's shutting down, just logs that error. Doesn't actually mean anything. So I need to get more precise log statements in here because everything started to die and I don't know why. Now these are the frontline logs, so I really would be very surprised if the error was in the front line. I presume it's in the game server, but I couldn't deduce what was going on there either. So let's add some log statements. All right, so I'm in the game server in server.dart, and what do I have? Yeah, what log statements do I have for like sending game messages back out? Right here. So I say new game event and new game state, but this isn't that useful. The code is pretty terrible. Just kidding. It's always interesting to see the flow of thought. Refactoring could come later. Yeah. This has already been refactored a lot. So I can't even claim this is the first draft or anything. But I can claim that it's time to delete this comment because... All right. So one thing that would be nice to know is when the when the back end tries to send messages out on the wire, how many front ends does it think it's talking to? And like, does this method ever finish? Something is hanging. Something is crazy. There's also, let me show the game. I think I have that here. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start the game server locally, and I'll start a front line locally. And now start a Flutter client. And then we'll start another Flutter client here. We can see the game. I love this build macOS error that looks really scary, but is meaningless. All right, so here, Lunchman is the first client to launch, and the second one is Board Van. Okay, so here we see the UI. I'll hide myself real quick. It's resetting after this point. So the red is the active player. So I'm just clicking on each window and driving that player. Pretty exciting, folks. It's Pong. The ball gets a little faster every collision so that game points don't go on forever. And there it is. Then it resets. The next point starts, and we go. Now, in the upper right here, we can see this ping measurement. Of course, you have very low ping from one side of the laptop to the other side of the laptop. But when the game crashes, this ping turns into it just goes exponential. It goes to 15 seconds, and then it gets so slow that it can't even measure it anymore. And so we can see one piece of info that I have is that the latency, it stops even being able to respond. Something gets completely wedged in a way that I was not anticipating. So I'm going to close these. And here we see that error that prints. It's just, I just need to catch something somewhere, and then it shuts down. So that error is not the problem that we saw in the logs. That error was somewhere. Might have been only on the front end. It was only on the front end, wasn't it? Oh yeah, the server doesn't show the error. Okay, anyway, that's fine. So I gotta add some log statements. So I want to see, where do these things complete? So I'm kind of inclined to say, like, let's grab the start time real quick and then log at the end. So here we'll say log.info. So it actually gets through, and we'll check in the main method. Yeah, so we're info statements happen. So here we sent, let's get just like the game event dot runtime type maybe. To, and then the number of clients. So this would be responder.num clients. And this will be in. Now we do datetime.now. The difference, the start, and that gives us a duration. And so then we'll say in milliseconds. And then we'll just write milliseconds here. We're going to log that we sent this event to however many clients. Oh, and this will be like frontline servers. We sent this game event to, 1, 2, whatever, frontline servers in an amount of milliseconds. And I guess we could also, this is going to get really noisy and annoying, but if this stops responding, like if this method stops completing, we won't see this log statement. So I'm also going to add, I guess we can just make this one info. That'll be fine for that. Okay. Should we do the same for state? I mean, I guess that could be where the error is coming from. So we should do it. I don't remember how often this one even happens. So this is just new game state, we'll say. To frontline servers in, and then we need the same start. Fine. Okay. So we're now logging that very basic information. Let's go into the Pong game and add some log statements there as well. This is going to get so terribly noisy. Holy smokes. So, all right, here's the kind of core loop. Let me just show everyone how this works. So first we schedule the next event, and that first involves calculating the next event. And in calculate next event, oh yeah, that's in another file. So we don't need to look at this. It's not important. Calculate the next event. That's going to be a ball collision against either a wall or a paddle. And then we register the next event. And registering the next event involves going to sleep. This is basically future.delayed, but scheduler wraps that so I can have tests around this. And after the certain amount of time, again, earlier I was saying, let's say the game calculates the ball is going to collide with the wall in 400 milliseconds. This will be go to sleep for 400 milliseconds. That's right here. And then we wake up and we apply the event that we scheduled as long as it hasn't been superseded. Because if someone starts moving their paddle, then what the ball is going to do might change, right? Maybe we calculated it was going to hit the wall, but then once the paddle starts moving up, well, now maybe it's going to hit the paddle. So whenever a paddle starts or stops moving, the anticipated event is thrown out, we recalculate. So that's why this says maybe, because what we calculated before may have been marked as stale while the game was asleep. And that's where we see this here. If the next event, this is the currently scheduled next event. If that's not us anymore, then we just, if it is us, then we apply it. Otherwise, we formally cancel it. So then this apply anticipated event has a bunch of different things that can happen in the game. The game can start, paddles can have their position reset, and different events like happen in different places, or like should or should not be scheduled. There's different stuff, but these are different game events that can happen. Game can resume. This is after a point. Paddle can start moving. Here we see it's like you should never have scheduled a paddle movement event. This doesn't make any sense. So there's an error if that ever happens. The ball can collide with a wall. It can collide with another wall. It can collide with a paddle, or wait for server. I forget what this one does. I think it's like after a game or after a point or something. So this is kind of that core loop. And then we schedule the next event. And schedule next event is that first method that we saw. So schedule next event calculates it and registers it. Then it applies it. Then we schedule the next event. So this is the core game loop. This core game loop could be also getting bogged down on the server for some reason. Some error of having too many something. I don't know. I don't think it's likely, but maybe there's some communication problem and like I'm infinitely writing to get the game state or something. And, then this stops being able to calculate events, maybe. I don't know. So, in calculate event. So I'm going to make this not a fancy return anymore. And we're going to log how long it takes to calculate the next event. Calculated next event. And that'll go here. And now we can say log.info starting to calculate next event. And this is going to just flood the logs. Starting to calculate next event. I guess we'll say at, and then T. Then I have this concept in the game of a runtime. This is just the amount of time since the game started. All right, so this is all the information that we should need here. And now we can say calculated, and this will be calculated next event dot runtime type. These are all freezed classes. Okay. Well, let's mark how long it happened. And then this will be dot difference. Start in milliseconds. All right. What do we think? This might even be enough. Yeah, let's just let's send this up. Oh no, I should add something to the front line. Let's go to frontline server.dart and we'll here we can see some really fancy like cores code. It's not very sophisticated. Open connection to game server. Yeah. So received response.runtime type from game server. Very good. Response.map. Yeah, this is setting new players. Game event. So this one right here, this is where the front line fans it out to all the clients. And I think that we need to log something here as well. Actually, what is the also info here? Good. So we're logging starting to send response event dot runtime type to however many clients at the start time. And then once they've all been sent the same thing to the number of clients after okay. Here we go. It's time to deploy, but there's a couple things we need to do. So I want us alone to be able to trigger the scaling. So I'm going to knock down 80 to 10. First thing we have to do is deploy this. And then we're going to redeploy everything. don't have to redeploy the front end. We only have to redeploy the back end. So in my make file, do I redeploy the back end? GCP deploy is the command. So I'll just wait until, all right, that's already done. So I can, in theory, type make GCP deploy, and it will deploy. All right, let's chat a bit. Well, this works. What VS Code extensions do you find the best for Flutter development? Honestly, there are a lot of blog posts, as Randall says, but I don't use a ton. I'm not gonna lie. I have obviously the Dart one. That's pretty good. You're gonna want that. And the Flutter one. I don't even think I use the snippets very often. I just never remember, like, no, I use something for stateful and stateless widget, of course. But I don't remember if those even come from this extension or not. Flutter Dart theme. Oh, I think this is what I use when I make like decoding Flutter videos. This is the theme that I use for that. And then you can see I don't have a ton. Mason. I think I installed that when I had Felix on the show to talk about Mason. Sadly, I've not really had a ton of opportunities to use Mason. Otherwise, I would use that extension more. That's it. That's all I use. There is actually, I don't know why I didn't see it. There's a good PubSpec one. I definitely use that. Maybe I just scrolled over. Here it is, PubSpec Assist. That's a really good one. That's it. All right, the deploy is done. Folks, hold on to your butts. So if y'all want to play a game, go to multipong.app. If your paddle is red, then you're an active player. The border around the game will always be red. That means nothing. Multipong.app. All right, I'm round aisle, and I'm in here alone. I'm going to need more of you. All right, the ping is already going up. Okay, so I'm an active player, and I'm playing against French Spring. I love to see it. We are already hammering the logs here. So the game worked until there was scaling, which we're going to get a lot sooner here, assuming 4 more of you. Uh-oh, French Spring, yelling it by. French Spring, get down. Nice, good shot. Okay, we're almost to where it's going to scale. Well, blocked French scale. Well done. Okay, 10. 11. Now we should be over the scaling. It's not catastrophically failing like it absolutely did when there was 150. Interesting. Very interesting. Ooh, you almost went down too far there, French Spring. Oh, gosh, I was asleep at the switch. I let you score. All right, I'm just going to open more tabs and force this to happen. Oh, no, it did. It failed. It's just hanging on my end. This is it. This is the fail state. And yeah, everything is just completely, oh, there's another game happening. So drop root in pad mill. We're down to 4 viewers in general. What on earth is going on? What are you all seeing? How many viewers do you see? Please type the number in the chat. How many viewers do your clients show you? Oh, I'm actually an active player. I'm both of these active players. I'm pad mill and full rail. Am I just sitting here by myself doing this? Kumar, you see 79? Other people see 10. Kumar sees 79. 400 ping in Vietnam. That's not terrible. The servers are in Northern Europe because that's where I knew I was going to give the talk. 2 only. Wow, just totally different. Totally different. A lot of 10. That was what I had on my first one too. Everyone who says 10, does your is your game still running? Because my game crashed where I see 10. Oh wait, Kumar, 5? You typed 79, but you meant 5? The keyboard Levenstein distance of those is significant. It stopped. Okay, so it crashed. And now this one's crashed as well. So it's just totally broken. This is, what is 100 size? Yeah, that's what we want. Also, yeah, you can see my responsive sizing isn't really wonderful. Okay, it crashed for everybody. It's the game, it doesn't work. We've all seen this now. I saw it before. We've all seen it now. So let's look at the logs. Game server logs. What do you got? Whoa, okay. So there was a paddle movement error. Did not expect. I forget how it handles that. I don't think that's the problem, but it does have potential to absolutely hammer the logs. Whoa, look at this. We're actually getting like hundreds of these. We're getting 100 of these logs per millisecond. That is wasteful. Okay, so what's happening here, I suspect, is it worked after refreshing. Phantom Code says this is probably because the game server completely crashed and you just got a fresh instance. That's what I think happened for you. And I think it would happen for everyone. If everyone loaded it again, it would work until we get past 10. Okay, so this did not expect to encounter game movement. Let's actually read this full thing. So didn't expect to encounter down while start event is set to up. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was going to add a fix for that and then I never did. Definitely not going to be able to add that fix now, but oh my goodness. So something is infinitely looping because this is in the calculate. This method, sorry, this log statement is emitted from a method that is called in the like calculate next event chain. And it should never be emitting like really more than one message per calculation, but there's some infinite loop somewhere. So I don't know, why does this error happen when the frontline server scales? That's what's crazy. It's like, well, there's obviously a terrible bug because this is getting in an infinite loop that I'm not expecting, but why does the frontline server scaling cause this to happen? All right, I have to get rid of this log statement and then try again. So this is in, I think this is in the calculations file. Does it say? Did not expect to encounter. Did not expect to encounter. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to comment these out. So here is the other did not expect to encounter. And yeah, this is in calculate paddle position at. So we're going to add some log statements to this as well. So we can see when we start this method and when it ends. Calculate paddle position at. So I guess we'll just put it right at the top. Oops. Log.info. Wait a minute. This is probably just going to spam a million things. I'm going to run it without this first. I'm just going to redeploy. All I'm going to do, because I'm just thinking if I add a log statement, obviously this is in the loop. So like something, more potential for verbosity in the loop. But calculate paddle position at is reached by the calculate next paddle event, which we're already seeing. So if that can't finish, then we'll already have indication of that. All right, back to the make file. I want GCP deploy game server. Yeah. Okay, so make GCP deploy game server. Always have a unique string in your error messages, both to find them in the logs and to find them in the source. This is a very good tip. All right, the game is deploying, and I'm hitting the wrong button. Okay, backend is deployed. So I think I'm gonna cheat even more. I just want this to like immediately fail. So the front line is now gonna have a maximum concurrent connections of like 3. I changed the number on the game server before. I set that to 10. I meant to change it on the front line so that the front line would scale faster. What? Game server. You see some pretty fun graphs here. Look at the average, the request latency spikes to 20 minutes. Not good. So this is where I put 10. Wow. Doesn't make any sense at all. All right. Whatever. We're back at it. So I'm going to close these tabs and open multipong.app. Tabs. And some of you are already here, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to open a bunch of tabs. More. All right. So the game is playing. I am not that one. I'm not any of the active players. That's good. Oh no, I am just Soup. Stress Wish, are you there? Hasn't crashed yet, at least for me. I mean, the game seems to be running. Stress Wish may not know that they are an active player. See how many times I can just shoot it into their paddle. All right, immediately failed. Interesting. The game is not dying now. You know what would just be astoundingly amazing if the error was like the time spent physically sending that log statement. I did that before. I used to work at Zapier, really cool company, and a buddy of mine was refactoring some extremely hot code, like this method that was called recursively it was just the hottest part of the whole code base. And I thought, hey, here's a good idea. You're trying to optimize it, maybe add a log statement for the runtime, and everything crashed. I took down Zapier by convincing my coworker to do this. And it was just the time spent sending those messages. Crashed everything. So this crashed again. So we should have something to look at. Logs. We are on the game server. Okay. You can see how fun it is to try to figure out what is going on here by way of looking at these commands. Oh, I'm realizing something I probably should have done that Randall was talking about. What was in the Pong game class in schedule next event. So I'm going to look up the word calculate. How do I search? Filter, calculate. These two methods, these two log statements, it would have been nice to have a very distinct, shared, unique string. I think that is. It's not even here. I did redeploy this, right? Yes. Yes, I did. It's not even finding it. What's going on? Scanning deep into the past. This is like a year old. This is when I started the project. Nothing has the word calculate. Is this for real? Can I not just, let's look up new frontline server, see how that goes. New frontline server. Okay, are you gonna find that command or those log statements? Yeah, great. So we actually, we do get to 2 occasionally. 713, that's last week. Today's 720. On 720, okay, that starts here. This is the first 720 log. We don't even get to 2, of course, because I set it to 10 on the wrong thing. I set it to 10 on the back end, not the front end. So we never got to above 80. So we never even scaled the front end. Okay. Cool. Let's say starting to calculate. Maybe you have to put quotes around it or something. No, I didn't have to put quotes before for the frontline servers. Why did calculate not show anything? Yeah, again, nothing. Did I not deploy this correctly? I remember you commented 2 logs. We don't see them anymore, but maybe we still are in the same situation for sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, yes, I think you're on the right track. I didn't fix anything. We think we did rule out the fact that it was the time spent sending the logs. So you're definitely right there. Yeah, I commented out these log statements here that were just flooding the system. And they're not flooding it anymore. So like these logs should be happening. Oh, there's okay, wait, game server.dart. And then we'll look at it's info as well. So everything is set to info. Why is this not happening? Default logger? Yeah, that's good. And it was the game server that I redeployed. It wasn't the back, I didn't redeploy the wrong one or anything. What's happening here? I wonder. Oh, okay. I have a theory. I wonder if the game server isn't dying because people connected, and so the old server is just still up. And then the service is capped at 1 worker, which isn't how Cloud Run is supposed to work. So we might be like locked on the old revision. But we're not seeing that error anymore. That could just mean the big warning getting spammed, but it could just mean we didn't enter that state. Huh. I don't know how to force the open service to die. I guess everyone close all your tabs. Everyone close everything. Maybe it'll go away. So Cloud Run, game server. You can see I had all these really lofty statements. So the project is FV Multipong staging. So it was originally going to be for Flutter Vikings in the fall of 2022, but it didn't work. And then this is staging. So I'd also aspired to have multiple environments. Never did that either. How do we... Okay, what am I looking at here? The game server. How do I like figure out if you've died? Maybe we look at the log statements in the last 1 hour. That should be a little better. All right, see you, Randall. Thanks for all the thoughts. Yeah, I don't know how to like confirm that it's dead. Max concurrent requests. 2. Yeah, this feels like the right number. Except actually, I don't know how we even got to 2 because we never scaled the front end past 1. The front line never got past 1. So it almost feels like they should have stayed at 1 the whole time. But it seems to spend a lot of its time at 2. I don't know how or why. All right, let's refresh this. Oh, I bet I could turn... So frontline here. Can I pause you? Is that a thing that you can do in Cloud Run? You can delete. I don't want to delete it. I just want to pause it. I don't think... I'm not seeing a way to do that. Again, I'm using Cloud Run in a very atypical way. It's really not what anyone intended. All right, I'm just going to launch more tabs and see if we all closed our tabs, then we might get back. All right, this Smell Town. That's a good name. All right, so people are back in. Maybe things are running. Let's look at the logs. Game server, logs, and okay, we just had a wake up event 20 seconds ago. Container exited. That's interesting. Container exited. 57. This is again like a minute ago. Well, that could have been when everyone closed their things. Okay. Oh, it exited again? Container called exit 1. Where do I call exit? Okay, there's a couple places. Oh, kill response. Yeah, this debugging thing. And kill response. Is someone killing the game? Actually, I think I closed that on the front end. I don't think the front end is sending the kill command anymore. Yeah, I don't see any kill commands in the logs. Yeah, write the revision on the screen so we can tell you. That's a good idea. So we need to ask the backend which revision it is. I wonder if that's made available as an environment variable. Cloud run get front end or get revision number. Oh, no, like environment variable. This is a good idea. Set many, no. This isn't what I want. I don't want to set environment variables. I want to read. Gregory, do you know by chance that environment variable? Ken, interesting thought. Pointing out that we can have an exit command of different numbers to see where they come from. So exit 0, this is the natural shutdown. This is when all the clients have disappeared. And we saw that it's at exit 1, so that ain't it. And then there's another exit 0 that this is more in the natural shutdown. Tell everyone to go away. This is kind of redundant because we think that there's no clients, and then we exit ourselves gracefully. The only other times I call exit are in this kill response. And I don't think the front end even sends that anymore. That would be in the client notifier. So kill command. This should be in the on key event or something. No, that would be in flame. This is what listens for. Yeah. This is where everything starts. It's if you press the magic key command or the key sequence, then the client sends the kill command, and that's commented out. So no one is killing the game. So this exit 1, I don't even feel like that's coming from my code. But gosh, that sure would crash everything, wouldn't it? And then I guess did it start back up again? Yeah, it just started back up again like immediately. And that's because the front ends will try to wake it back up again. As soon as it dies, the front ends will be like, hello, we needed you. And so then they just immediately wake it back up again. And that's why when people refresh their server or the front end, it starts working again because the back end crashed and restarted. Okay, so then we just got a lot of paddle movements. Probably worth reducing the verbal. Whoa, there's a lot of this. Okay, and then the game didn't crash for a while. Looks like there's some successful Pong happening. You love to see it. Not bad. Still not seeing that calculate log though, you know? Also, this looks like a print statement. Okay, we'll get rid of that. Bird right in Plainfield. Is that what I see here? No, this is probably old. No, but it's not crashing for quite a while. Is the game working for people? Looks like we're okay. I'm caught up. This is current stuff. All right, I'm gonna refresh because these windows are stale. My cheese and sad bulb. Well, kids, I think there's a lesson here, and that is, oh, I am one of the players. Friends don't let friends try to make multiplayer video games unless you're really invested in a lot of time. Because goodness. Oh, I was not paying attention there. This feels like just a scavenger hunt, like a needle in the haystack challenge of figuring out what is going to be the instructive log statement. What is going to answer the question? Because if we say calculate, again, I mean, this should show something, but this isn't. And I don't know why. On game. Now log.info. That is enough. And yet, calculate doesn't show up. Starting. And we got starting new game, but that isn't it. It's not what we want. Pretty puzzled here. Why is this not happening? Log.info. Like all my other log statements are in fact logging. Right? If we say log dot, let's look up another one. So yeah, starting new game. We can see that it's info. Starting new game. Oh yeah. Log.info. It's coming from game server. So let's review the logging setup. Yeah. So we listen to any log statement. Everything is going to propagate to the root, and then we log on anything. And default logger first says the logger name, and then the time, and then the level, and the message, which is what we see. Logger name, time, level, message. So this just feels, what am I doing wrong? This log variable is coming from static final log. I wonder if like having this be static is bad. Are we seeing any of the log statements in here? Log.warning. That one just might not happen. What are other log.info messages in here? Need to calculate, and we didn't, I don't think we're getting these applying message, or no, I think I was getting applying. I think I saw that one. Applying. Yeah. Applying is definitely happening. Game events are getting applied. And it's coming from the Pong game logger. What did I do to deserve this? So the static nature of it isn't a problem. I was wondering like, or const or something. I was wondering if it like existed before the logging stuff got set up, if that was a problem, but that isn't it. Oh, it's also not const. So the static would be fine. I wonder why I even put static here. Oh, it is on a class. That's why I put it there. Okay. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to deploy again. Something is really weird here. Managed, Europe North, that one authenticated, Gen 2 execution environment. I do feel like I need to turn it off. All right, I can also try to do this locally. Let's try to do that. That I think is the way to, that's the place to go next. So this is what we're going to do. We can go to the make file and say, we got local frontline, and then I'm going to have another one that is frontline 2. And here I'm going to add port equals 8080 89. Okay. And that's actually all I need to do. No changes there, except for this one. Now we add another variable here. Oh, sorry. We're going to add flutter local 2. And this is going to, let's see here, client main.dart. What is the variable name for environment resolver frontline port is what I want. So the frontline port comes from the, no, I'm going to be doing this locally. So it'll be IO environment. And that is frontline port is this variable. Oops. Okay, so it'll be frontline port equals 808089. So now I think I can have 2 frontline servers. So this will be make frontline 2, local frontline 2. Good, looking good, looking good. And now we'll add, go to the direct directory, make local frontline, and this is just 1. So here we should see 2 frontline servers on our backend. Amazing. Okay, now we'll do a make Flutter local. I should just be able to play against myself here. I'm going to send them both to frontline 1, which is actually this one. I instantiated them out of order. So this one should see 2 connections happen. Yeah, it's got a connected client. We've got that right there. And then once the second one launches, boom, 2 connected clients. And the game is playing. Okay, looking good. All's good in the neighborhood. Now, we return to the same directory and run make flutter local 2. And that should get us a client to here. So this is still, it's continued to receive. This is frontline 2. Now it's got its first client. And here we are seeing that we send the game state to 2 frontline servers. So that is kind of proceeding as normal. And now let's just grab all these windows, put them in the front. Oh, I see those are on top of each other. So the error doesn't even seem to happen locally. Okay, we got a new game starting here. Yeah, this error doesn't happen locally. That's stinky. Really hoping that I would be able to stop deploying this to Cloud Run to use. Do you use any window management tool on Mac? Yeah, I use whatever this one is. I used to use Spectacle, but it stopped being maintained. And now I think I use Magnet. I think that might be what this is. Magnet, yeah. Dang. I wanted this to work. Steep Stair, Fork Buck, and Brown Lunch. You do get some unfortunate names. Well, team. This is a failed experiment. I'm going to see if this backend service has stopped. Game server, 1 hour. All right, it looks like it's been idle for a minute because there's a gap in the graph where nothing is happening. I don't know how to just kill a thing. That's a really interesting how kill or like pause Cloud Run. Can you do that? Since the Cloud Run essentially goes down when it's not responding, you should secure the service with no unauthenticated flag. Yeah, if I have open load balancer, I don't want to do any of these things. Let's run this again and see if we get 7 viewers. Folks, you're not closing the tabs. I need you to close the tabs. You realize that by playing Pong, you're preventing the debugging of Pong. Stair Day, you just got out of the way. You're playing dodgeball against main club, who is inactive. They're AFK. Yeah, I don't think we're getting a back end. I don't think that's working. We're not getting new deploys out because the other one is staying alive. And I don't know how to kill it. An interesting problem. Maybe I can logs. Calculate. Yeah, it's probably not. I don't think we're going to get anything. The one interesting thing is that we aren't getting that one error anymore. But that must just be because we happen to incidentally not have gotten there. Not because we deployed a new version that... Oh, here it is. Didn't expect paddle movement. Yeah. So now we did get the error again. So yeah, it's never deployed. Oh, container exit. You would think this would get us a new service. TCP startup probe. So it just crashed again for some reason. Container called exit 1. Cloud run container. Yeah, see, I didn't call exit 1. The container called exit 1. Does this mean it like ran out of memory or something? Oh, this person is crashing on startup. That is not the same error. Yeah, these people are getting it right when it launches. So at 48, 10:15, 48, the container exited. I wonder if we can see some like really high memory or something at that time. So startup latency is fine, billable. CPU never gets high. CPU doesn't exceed 5%, so that's not the problem. Someone asked in the beginning, won't the CPU get hammered? And I said, I don't think so. And the CPU is basically just asleep. Memory doesn't get above 4%. The amount of data sent is so low that it's not even registering anything. That's actually weird. We're definitely sending more than nothing. Yeah, 1 hour again. Make sure we're not missing. Yeah, CPU memory utilization never gets above 4% because this is the least taxing application anyone has ever deployed. Sent bytes. I still don't know why this is saying 0. That's weird. I wonder if it's only measuring like HTTP, and because these are WebSockets, it's actually just not getting measured. That's really interesting. This feels like just a simple error in the Cloud Run reporting. And then we just get these request latencies. Something is getting into an infinite loop, maybe. Request count, again, this is just the opening of a frontline server, so this stays incredibly low. Oh, you can see how tricky this became. Interesting. Very interesting. YAML? What is this? Oh, this is the definition of it. Nice. What integration is going to do? Not supported in my region. It's unfortunate. Triggers. Oh, this is actually really cool. I haven't really done much with this yet, but you can. Did you all know you can add an event arc trigger that I have not enabled in this project? You can basically tell Firebase to send events to Cloud Run, and then you can deploy Dart code and respond to events just like you had a Firebase function. Networking. Yeah, this is fine. I have a VPC access connector. Didn't intend for that to happen. Hope I'm not being charged for that. All right. Well, I don't think I can get. Yeah, I don't think I can do anything else because people aren't closing the client. I'm being blocked. Understand that the game is addicting. But Deepwall is just determined to play the game. Deepwall. Okay, now Deepwall seems to be not doing anything. All right, there's 4 viewers and I'm 2 of them. Oh, now we're down to 3 and I'm 2 of them. Now this should drop to 2 because I closed my other tab, unless it's crashed and it's already not communicating. I keep getting the exact ping of 174. That's always keeps weirding me out. It's like that exact number. Oh, it crashed. Nice. I bet we're going to see that container called exit 1 in the logs just now. Yeah. 2029. Yeah, so it just crashed. Why? Why did you crash? You give me nothing. Why did you crash? All right, so I think that's why it breaks, is it just crashes. But this is different than one we saw in Berlin, where it really seemed coupled to, is no one using it? Are we going to actually get a new service? That would be pretty great. Also love how it says no errors found during the interval. Did the exit one that the container called not constitute an error? I guess it would be an HTTP request returning with like a 400 or 500, which is definitely not happening. There's none of those. Okay, maybe we've actually gotten it. Maybe it's happened. Someone had the idea to log the revision that we're on, and that's a very good one. Just need to figure out the environment variable for that. Of course, once I'm doing this by myself, then I can, okay, whatever. Then I can, probably won't have that problem anymore. All right, let's test it. Let's see what's going on here. One viewer. Oh, now we're up to 4 immediately. Folks, if you didn't close it, I'm going to have very harsh words with you. How long after the last kill did it take? We're not seeing the calculated message. That's what would indicate this. All right. No dice. We're blocked. The error remains at large. Well, for those of you who had ideas on what to try and how to think about this, I appreciate that. For those of you who kept playing the game and prevented debugging, I appreciate that less. But it's okay. I understand I've made a very addicting game. Oh my gosh. Container called exit 1. Oh man, I'm just pulling my hair out as to the mystery of this. Why is it happening? All right. I don't know, but I'm not going to worry about it anymore today. Well, folks, not necessarily with a bang, but Observable Flutter is back. So I'm working on some pretty fun guests for the rest of this summer. Folks that I met and interacted with at FlutterCon Berlin, some presenters who gave really great talks that I thought we need to cover that material on Observable Flutter. Some Googlers I have lined up. Folks on the Flutter team are going to come on and talk about stuff. And yeah, I'm excited about the rest of the year on the show and beyond. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching me not know what I'm doing. That was pretty much all that happened in this episode. Maybe one day I will debug what happened in this, and I'll share with the world what the problem was. But today, as Aragorn says, is not that day. So that'll be it for today. And folks, have a great weekend. Have a great week. And I will see you very likely next Thursday.